Hello, hello. All right, we are back in the studio. I'm Eric Peterson. I'm the CTO and founder of CloudZero, and I am joined today by my esteemed guest Ram from HighRadius. Ram is senior director of cloud engineering. Ram, tell us a little bit about HighRadius. Tell us about your job. Tell us about what it means to be sitting on top of all this cloud operations and optimization stuff today.
Sure. Thanks, Eric. This is RamKishore. I'm Senior Director for HighRadius, and I'm part of the Cloud Engineering Group. So, what I'm really responsible for is ensuring the reliability across the cloud platforms and the products that we manage as part of the cloud platform. What HighRadius does is it's into the fintech platform, like it's a fintech SaaS service company. And what we are specialized in is order to cash automation. We are the market Gartner market leaders in that particular segment. So we have multiple products that serve as part of the order to cash, and there's automation and AI that we implement across, and we seamlessly integrate with the banking system, credit history, and things of that sort to help our customers.
Good to say that the cost of things is high on your mind when you're thinking about building these systems.
Absolutely,
It's
yeah,
part of your business. It's
that
also
is.
part of how you think about building your systems. How long have you been with HighRadius? How long have you been on this path?
Well, I am just like less than 1 year, like
Yeah,
10 months into the system.
I know. So
Yeah,
you must be, you've got your arms around it, right? Everything, all
absolutely, yeah.
problems are solved. No.
No, I'm
Yeah.
glad. Yeah, we solved most of the problems that we had, so
Yeah. No.
we are in the right spot.
Well, it is, it's I think what's, awesome and why I wanted to have this conversation with you today was, you could come in and give us the engineering perspective,
Hmm.
right? Because at CloudZero, we like to say that every engineering decision is a buying decision. We really believe that. When you sit down and you think about it, like your engineers, they have the ability to spend lots of money on the cloud with not a lot of oversight, and you want to make sure that they're making the best decisions. The decisions they make are ultimately going to affect the profitability of your company. And coming from that engineering background, I think is absolutely perfect because a lot of times, it's hard to reconcile like, hey, they've got so many different responsibilities today in engineer, particularly in the world of DevOps. Now we're going to add this new thing, FinOps, onto the plate, right? But in my mind, we've built out these pretty amazing things in AWS. AWS has given us this kind of infinite scale, but we don't have infinite wallet. And we're sitting there trying to understand how we can build better. And cost and efficiency has to be part of that conversation. So my first question for you is, that statement, every engineering decision is a buying decision. Does that resonate with you? How does that make you feel?
It so much resonates. So I can connect it the moment you say every engineering decision is a buying decision, because what we do at HighRadius, like the way we try to optimize ourselves, the way we matured ourselves in terms of operating on clouds, and especially with operating on multiple clouds, right? So this is primarily driven through our engineers. So every initiative that we pick up is based on what we see from our data, what the technical knowledge that the team has, and a lot of analysis that we do, and then we make a right decision, right initiatives, and we'd never look at it from just a financial metric standpoint, right? Because this will influence negatively. So what we do is we look at what will optimize our environment better in terms of technology, performance, scalability, and all other factors, and then we put a factor of finance to it, right? So that really helps us a lot. And most of the initiatives that we took are completely taken by our engineers. This is not something top driven. This is bottom driven approach for
Oh,
us.
that's bottoms up. That's fantastic, right? I think that's everybody's dream that, the folks are just using the information on your teams to build just well architected systems, right? And
Yep,
you don't have to kind of chase after them from a tops down approach.
absolutely.
I think that's very true. You think about a lot of the way the security industry has evolved. I see the same things happening in cost optimization. Again, who's actually building it? You write a line of code. That code might cost $1 million if you didn't think about how it's going to be using the infrastructure. How is this shared kind of belief here?
Mhm.
I knew we were going to be on the same page. How is this point of view change things in terms of how you are building software today? What do you see the team doing differently? And like anything, it's a journey. How do you see it changing over time?
Okay, that's a great question, because there's a huge transformation the way we see this, like especially when you compare it at least a year ago, the way we are producing software or
Mm,
the way the code was written is completely from our engineers' mindset. So now there was no concept of cost into the picture, right? So we were all worried about how do we scale and give the best service to our customers,
Mm.
right? So we were in a chase where we wanted to grow big, and we wanted to grow and scale ourselves as much as possible. So we never looked at cost as a factor for us.
Were
So
you
we
worried that it was gonna slow innovation? Was that the
Exactly,
concern?
yeah.
Got it,
So
yeah.
we were like so chasing onto the technology, so putting up the code, we are just making up scalable systems. And then we reached a maturity where we were serving really good in terms of the technology and there was a lot of customer appreciation from a product and engineering standpoint. Then now we started looking at the cloud cost optimization as a key factor because we realized, yeah, we are growing fast and we never looked at those factors, right? So and then when we started looking at it, and then the moment you have, like, when we introduced CloudZero uh, into the mix, right? So that's where the game changed for us, because now we brought visibility into what is happening around cloud, the cost, and how we are able to allocate those costs to the individual products that we have and things of that sort. So this is really giving a perspective to the engineer itself. Like, if there is a product engineer who is developing something, he knows that, okay, if I'm gonna do something additional, this is gonna blow up my cost. So this is making him cautious and making sure that there is a right engineering decision taken while putting up into the system, right? So this is an absolute fun, and that has changed the way we think and the way we are operating today.
Yeah. I wanna ask you how things are changing in the future, but you said something that I think is also really powerful. We like to think of it as one of our superpowers as well, which is around allocation, right? How do you, go about making sure that the cost that you're looking at isn't just in terms of, AWS infrastructure, how much money I'm spending on EC2 is interesting, but it's way more interesting to understand what my cost per feature or product or service or even customer, or the other day, talking about cost per query, things that we can bring it down because that guides it. That allocation piece of this, I think, is really critical as well. Like, how have you guys, kinda latched onto that and implemented that within your environment?
Yeah, so that's again a very good question because, as you said, unit metrics are very key for us. So the very first thing that we started adopting when we started with Cloud Zero is getting a visibility. So the moment we got visibility, then we said, okay, how do I break it down? Because breaking down the problem and the cost is a key for us. So then we started segmenting into either different cloud providers, multiple regions, whatever possible ways that is available as a standard. Then we started putting up some metrics to make sure that we are able to break it down to a level where we can go buy product and buy service. Now we have got a level of maturity where we know exactly what is happening per product, per service, what is the cost for me. Now what we are trying to achieve is getting into a detail where we can go into cost per customer, right? So that's a key for us, because we wanted to really measure it again as the revenue that's can generated per customer and the cost that is allocated to that customer.
And when you get to that cost per customer place, how do you think that's gonna change the business? What is that gonna mean, not just for your team and the
Mhm.
engineers, but for the whole business? How do you see that transforming your
So
business?
there's a lot that can be changed with it. Say, for example, the moment you know that there is a customer that there is certain revenue that we are able to generate out of customer, and this is the amount of infrastructure that is consumed for this particular customer. Now we know how far we can go with that infrastructure. What is the scalable factor? It will help us make the right decisions if, from a business standpoint, if we need to increase the customer revenue a little bit to make sure that we are able to meet the demands of the customer.
There's a lot of ways
Uh,
to think about how
Yeah.
you kind of optimize what you're delivering. And then you think about those, as any software company does, think about, are you hitting the right margin targets? Are you actually building a profitable product? I mean, it's important, in the early days, you don't necessarily want to premature optimize around these things. Sometimes you're just trying to figure out, can I even do the thing that I'm trying to do? But, and so that's fine. But over time, you need to adjust your pricing models. You need to adjust your business. I love that perspective because I think, in many ways, we're not just transforming how people build software, we're transforming how businesses, software companies kind of think about building profitable products, right? And it sounds like you guys are all in. It's really fantastic. So, all right, so back to thinking about the future, right? What do you hope to see evolving out of some of these programs and kinds of things that you've put in place? How do you see it changing over time? Whether it's changing the the culture of the engineering team, or just opening up new opportunities for business? How do you see that kind of evolving for, specifically for you, HighRadius, maybe just the industry?
Sure. This is gonna certainly impact the way we are currently operating from an engineering standpoint. I'll talk more about the engineering at this point in time because
Sure.
I get very connected to
Yeah.
the way we see things
I could
transforming
talk
for
about
ourselves.
engineers all
Yeah,
day long. I love it.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is actually a good accountable and ownership that engineers are able to take right now because with the right level of visibility, with the right level of allocation and the maturity that we are able to bring into the service, engineers are able to take the right decision. So I think it goes back to the original question that you had on whether how every engineering decision is a buying decision. So I'll stick to it because it actually translates and helps us move faster because every engineers can actually make a decision when something is wrong and they are like fast to fail, right? So it's okay. You make a mistake, it's okay, but you fail fast, and then you recover back quickly, and then you know how to get back on the things, right? So this is changing the culture of engineering and the mindset of the engineers. So this is a big transformation. So that is how I see the right giving the right visibility to engineers will always make our products or services that we are offering to the next level.
Oh yeah, I think somebody said it the other day. That engineers, they want the best, right? They truly are well intentioned, but we sometimes protect them from from certain information. We're worried about how they're going to react to some things, and the honest truth is, you give them the data, they're going to do pretty amazing things. What are some of the amazing things or just amazing discoveries as you've used CloudZero's product? What have been some of the kind of big wins or quick wins for you guys as you started to implement the technology?
Sure. I'll certainly start with the visibility factor of it, right? So what changed us because as I was talking earlier, there was no visibility. The moment we started seeing what is that cloud cost per product or a per service, it started giving a good perspective to the engineering leaders and taking the right decisions at the engineering perspective, right? So that was a very quick win for us. And then slowly we also started realizing. So there are a lot of examples that I can give, especially the way we had some sprawls in the environment, right? Say, for example, I can talk about certain volumes that we were not able to monitor the kind of volumes growth that
Yeah.
we were having
Moving
and things like that,
fast,
moving
stuff gets,
fast
yeah, yeah,
because we wanted to deliver those features fast. And there are new products that we are rolling out. And as part of it, we never looked back on the sprawls that we had and CloudZero really helped us identify them very quickly in the game uh, before uh, before it was like absurd in terms of hitting the roof of the like cost of cloud costs, right? So it was able to help us achieve and maintain our cloud cost intact, and we were able to quickly make those decisions again, having the right visibility, and because CloudZero was able to give us the right insight at the right time, we were able to get back onto the track again and controlling the cost.
yeah. So
So
so you haven't seen it slow down the innovation. If anything,
no,
maybe it's
not at
it's
all.
it's accelerated
It is
things.
accelerated. Yeah.
So why do you think that is? Like, I mean, we can I can guess, but I wanna hear you say it. I wanna, what, because I think that's on a lot of folks' minds when we say, "Hey, the engineers really need to be part of this conversation." People go, "Well, yeah, but I'm worried about slowing things down." Listening to you talk, it's clear that's not happening, right? It sounds like things are going faster. I think that's, I think there's a lot of great reasons why that is, but why, tell me in your words, why do you think that
So
is?
I'll just go back to my some of the words that I just said, right? So because the power is at engineer is with the engineer, right? So it is not with a leader or with someone else. So when you get to do a mistake, you get to see early in the game, and that visibility will make the engineer make the right
Got it.
decision. So
Right.
he knows how to fix. As long as you don't put him into a pressure, that
Yeah.
okay, yeah, why did you do this?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
rather
yeah.
than allowing him
Yeah.
to do the right thing, I think that will innovate faster as well because that actually optimized our the way we are writing the codes as well. Like in the same example that I've given you, so it actually helped us optimize the code. And now we are way confident because we also realized this particular piece of code was causing problem in other products, which we never had a problem, but it can potentially cause a problem. So we were able to fix that.
And it
right?
started with cost. The cost data was
It's
kind
a
of like
cost data. Yeah,
the initial indication that there was something there an opportunity
there's
there.
an opportunity.
Yeah, because I strongly believe there's this tight coupling between a, well-architected system and a cost-effective one. They go hand in hand that, cost is really kind of more in common with performance when you think about it. And it's this really important constraint that can, I believe, drive innovation, right? And what I think is interesting, hearing you say it again, like you got the information at the right time to the right people, the engineers, and inside of that kind of decision loop, as anybody who's building or creating something, the faster you get that information to them, the more natural it becomes. The faster they move, they just stay in that kind of flow, right?
Yep.
And now it sounds like they're building great software, which is what we want, right? It's exactly how we want it. Um, how do you think the, cloud providers themselves, the folks, out there that you're using underlying, how do you think that is going to evolve as well as you change over time? Changing gears a little bit, thinking about the technologies that you're using. Are you changing your approach to picking, cloud technologies as well as based on some of the cost data?
Yeah, certainly. I think that certainly helps us drive more efficiencies. So this is one of the things that I was always looking at, right? So how do I really make a decision whether a particular service or a particular technology has to be residing in a particular cloud provider, right? So and that will really bring us a lot of efficiencies in terms of how we look at things, and we don't want to restrict it with one cloud, one provider, because we want to see how we can explore that way, and how we can take the advantage of various cloud providers in the market, right? So we want to take every small insight that is available to make that right decision.
Mm, got it. Got it. Yeah. And you're again, like, putting that power back in the engineers to make the right decision, right? They've got the data. Here's all the tools at their fingertips. You're allocating that cost according to product services, so they're not thinking about it in terms of necessarily the underlying technology unless they need to. So they've got the big picture in mind. Hey, we're a business. We exist to deliver this value. What is the cost to deliver that value? And then just breaking it down in a really timely fashion. So let's talk a little bit about the timely fashion. Uh, you know, Give me some examples of how, if we've been in a place. I always like to hear the great stories about how we sent an alert, we got somebody some information before they got too far down the path, because sometimes the best way to save money is to just not spend it at all. And I love what we've done with some of our anomaly detection capabilities and getting that information to the right people at the right time. Has that been, have you, what have you experienced in that area as well?
Yeah, I can certainly talk about one of the examples, and I'll take the case of a situation where there was a incremental sprawl in the system, right? So usually, if I look at my regular cloud spend on a month-on-month basis, I would never be able to identify whether this is actually something trending wrong or trending
Yeah.
low.
It's like a needle in the haystack, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So because this is very specific to the cloud component, this is not necessarily at a very high level, right? So I'm not seeing a difference. Uh, like say for example, this is not giving me like a $2,000, $3,000 difference per day, but it's very minimal, and this is happening at a very particular resource in the pool of resources. Now, how do I get down to that particular resource and identify that this is where this sprawl is happening? Is very key, right? So we usually, when I look at those cloud bills and the analytics that are provided by the cloud provider, maybe may not get that level of insight. So that is where again CloudZero helped us in able to identify that specific sprawl that was happening in a very specific resource, and identifying that and giving back us that information to uh,
Yeah. Being able to drill
recover that.
down
Yeah,
really quickly to
recover that
find,
as early as
oh, it's
possible.
the piece, right?
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
just a line item on a bill, but
So
actually operational data that you can
exactly.
can
So
array.
this is exactly what I talk about, the intelligence that I can get
Mm,
out of this tool.
gotcha. Can you tell us a little bit about your architecture and your environment? Are you able to share some of the technologies you're using? I'm just curious how you've seen us interact with that. Maybe, a chance to just talk a little bit about your platform a little bit more and tell us about what you've built and are building.
Okay, so I can certainly share some information. So
Yeah, yeah.
so we are
Don't give away the crown jewels. I just wanna,
yeah.
just so that people can understand some of the technology choices you're making, because I think it's really, you guys have built a very modern platform, and, I love to hear how it's evolving, and I love to hear how, some of the cost data is evolving that.
Got it. So, certainly, I think if I talk about our products, so there are like we talk about two types of products for us. So one, we call it as integrated receivables, and the other product that we call it as CFO tech products. So integrated receivables are our core of the core products that we have, and these have been in the system for quite a while, right? So these are something that are very matured in the market. So there are like 5 to 6 different products as part of it. Like I can talk about Cash App, EIPP, credit,
Yeah,
and
and you've broken this all out in
yeah,
your CloudZero dashboard, so you
exactly,
see
yeah. So
the cost per for each one of these.
exactly. So we have these different products which we are able to break it down to that level. Now, when it comes to CFO Tech, so that is where we have completely microservices based architectures. So we are born into microservices architecture with those kind of product sets, and we are also moving away from our existing monolithic architectures into this IR platform into the microservices
Are
architecture.
you adopting a lot of shared services along the way, or kind of breaking it out, or how do you think about? I've worked with some customers where they have like 60 or 70% shared services. They kind of look at the challenge of allocating all those shared costs as an unsolvable problem, and then we introduce them to Cloud Zero, and they go, wait, there's actually a path forward here. Do you have a lot of shared costs, or are there shared kind of cost allocation challenges that we've worked at? And
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you this example. So when I'm talking about these products that we have, so you understand the complexity that goes in, right? So we have to manage all these products. Now, the common shareable thing is a database for us. So from an application layer standpoint, we are pretty much independent in nature. Whereas when it comes to the databases, we are pretty much on a common platform. So the moment you have this common platform, it becomes very difficult for us to break it down and allocate the specific cost for each of these databases to the product, right? So that is where we always had the struggle. I think that is the problem that we are also trying to solve at this point. So we are able to develop certain kind of maturity at this point in time. So we have to still evolve to certain, because we also have to give you the right metrics to be able to break it down. So that is something that we are working back with your engineering team to
yeah,
figure this out. Yes.
that's kind of where I was going. I was really excited to kind of hear about some of that stuff because, if one of the powers of Cloud Zero's platform is, and sometimes people don't understand, is we bring in data from lots of different things, not just cost data, but we can also bring in telemetry. We could bring in query data from your database, for example, and use that to get at a cost per query. We actually, we of course use our own technology in house, and we bring in our query data. We also tag those queries by customer so I can see, cost per query by customer and start to see like, oh, well, this customer is using it in this way. We didn't optimize that query. We didn't think about that use case. And when you get that data directly to engineers, as we've been talking, right, then somebody goes and makes a really quick decision. So I'd love to hear that, kind of how that's evolving and bringing that in, because that's something you really can't do. If you're just looking at the cost data, you don't see the big picture, right? It costs this much, but I also, I need the data about what my application is doing, and I need to bring that stuff together if I'm going to truly understand unit cost, unit economics.
Sure. I was talking to Bill, SVP of CloudZero, yesterday. So I was also explaining the same problem and the situation that we have and how we wanted to solve it. But I'm glad we are now able to bring a lot of Prometheus metrics back into integrating back into CloudZero that will help us drive more efficiencies and derive the right unit metrics there. So you spoke about the query per query cost, right? So that's biggest problem for us. Like we always wanted to know what is the cost going behind the every query that is getting posted, right? So now a consultant comes and he just writes a query, and without understanding the impact of the cost it may uh,
Did they
get
understand the
assigned,
schema?
right?
Did they put the right indexes in place?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And now this is a big problem because we want to make sure that that visibility is given to every engineer, every consultant out there, every department that is out there, so that they understand before putting a query, they know what exactly they are
Got
running
it.
against.
Yeah. I can't wait to see how that
Yep.
works out. All right. So, Ram, kind of wrapping it up, I got a couple of last minute questions here for you. First, what's your favorite color, Ram? I gotta
I'll
get a.
go with
You go
orange.
with orange? Okay. All right. All right. That's good. We're gonna have to get you some orange,
For
orange
sure.
clothes then, because I happen to know a guy, so
Would
we'll
love to.
have to make that go. what do you want to see in the future, right? Let's end there. Like, what would you like to see in the future from CloudZero, or just in this world where we're moving towards, cost become part of that engineering process? What do you dream of, or at night, you're counting sheep and laying down and thinking about the future, what do you want to see in the future? I'd love to try to make it happen, but tell us from your perspective.
Yeah. So let me dream first. Okay. So thing that I would really love to see, I think I know this is way far off, but I'm sure with the change of technologies, this can be real possibility, because especially we talk about Gen AI and adopting to get the right insights on a timely basis, and how quickly we are able to get the right anomaly detections done. I know there are certain capabilities in terms of anomaly detections right now, but if we are able to mature it to a level where I think I don't really have to worry about what's coming, and a human intervention is needed to validate this, but just tell me that, okay, hey, I see this, I think this is what you exactly need to do. I think that's what I would love to see.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We're gonna make that happen. That's fantastic. We know that AI is a big part of our future here. We've already been doing a lot of things around ML and AI for quite some time. We started building things even before the current kind of Gen AI excitement. And now I'm even more excited by what's happening. So that's a fantastic future. I love how you spell that out. So thank you. Fantastic. So I really want to thank you, Ram, for coming and joining us today in the studio, sharing your thoughts, talking a little bit about engineering, led optimization and everything that's CloudZero's been doing. But most of all, just thank you for being a great customer, right?
Thank you. Thanks,
And
Eric. It was
yeah,
fun.
really appreciate your time, Ron. Thank you. Have a great,
Thank
great,
you.
great day. Awesome. We're coming live from the studios here, CloudZero in Las Vegas. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe in the clouds, my friends. Take care.